I would like to say something about our academy also. Tamil Nadu Forest Academy, which was started during 1912, mainly caters to training the forest officers and also update their skills during their services. But our director and additional director felt that when we just expand our activities, we always thought that the awareness creation is very important for the conservation efforts. In that sense, the Forest Academy is very actively taking part in the Wildlife Week celebration also. Despite the COVID pandemic situation, all efforts are being taken with Forest Academy to use this opportunity to disseminate or convey strong messages about conservation and people's participation in that. When I come to say about Wildlife Week was we started celebrating or we started accommodating the Wildlife Week celebrations during the October from 1952 onwards. Mainly, as I told you earlier, mainly to convey the messages strongly during this day about the conservation of wildlife, about which the speakers, the panelists, Mr. Kalidas sir and Dr. Parthiban sir will be speaking more about that. And I will introduce now our speakers. First speaker will be Mr. Kalidas sir. ஓசை காளிதாசன் அவங்களை பற்றி சொல்லும்போது அவங்களை வந்து ஓசை காளிதாசன் சொல்லுவாங்க. ஆனால் ஓசை இல்லாமல் நிறைய காரியங்களை பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு மாபெரும் மனிதர், என்னுடைய நெருங்கிய நண்பரும் கூட அவர். எங்கள் அகாடமியுடைய நெருங்கிய நண்பர், நம்ம டைரக்டர் சார் அடிச்சுட்டார், எல்லாத்துடைய ஒரு நண்பர், பொதுமக்களுடைய பெரிய நண்பர் இருக்காரு. அவருடைய பேக்ரவுண்ட் பார்த்தீங்க அப்படின்னா மண்ணின் மைந்தர் அவர். அது இல்லாமல் உங்களுக்கு ஒரு பெரிய வங்கியில் வந்து ஒரு பெரிய பதவியில் இருந்துட்டு இருக்கும்போது தன்னுடைய பதவியை ராஜினாமா செய்துட்டு இயற்கையின் பால் அவருக்கு இருந்த ஒரு ஆர்வத்தினால, so his total involvement with the nature to the extent of resigning the lucrative bank job, and then he started practicing. I will say he started practicing and conveying the messages about conservation, the importance of conservation. அவங்க அது நிறைய இப்போ இந்த கோவிட் சிச்சுவேஷன் நான் பார்க்குறேன். அவர் எவ்ரி டே இஸ் ஆன் அ வெபினார் வித் மெனி ஸ்டேக் ஹோல்டர்ஸ். ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸாக இருக்காங்க, பேங்கர்ஸாக இருக்காங்க, இன்சூரன்ஸ் கம்பெனியாக இருக்காங்க, டாக்டர்ஸாக இருக்காங்க, ஹெல்த் ஒர்க்கர்ஸாக இருக்காங்க, கார்பரேட், இப்படி எல்லா ஸ்டேக் ஹோல்டர்ஸோடையும் சார் வந்து எவ்ரி டே வந்து அவங்க வெபினார் மூலம் கன்சர்வேஷன் எஃபர்ட்ஸ் மத்தியும் இல்லாமல் இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் மத்தியும் இல்லாமல் அவங்களுடைய ரோல் என்னங்கிறத பற்றி எவ்ரிடே சொல்லிட்டு இருக்காங்க. ஸோ அவங்க இன்னைக்கு நம்ம ஒரு ஸ்பீக்கரை நம்ம கூட இருக்கிறதுல ரொம்ப ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம். அவங்க தான் முதல் ஸ்பீக்கர் இருப்பாங்க. அடுத்த ஸ்பீக்கர் டாக்டர் பார்த்திபன் சார். அவங்கள பற்றி அவங்க அடுத்து பேச வரும்போது நான் அவங்களை பற்றி சொல்கிறேன். இப்போ வந்து I will just hand over the session to Mr. Kalidas sir. He will be speaking about the importance through his life. Over to Mr. Kalidas sir.
மிக்க நன்றி மருத்துவர் ஐயா அவர்களே. ஒரு அழகான உணரை கொடுத்திருக்கிறார். எல்லோருக்கும் தெரியும், இந்த நாளில் உலக, அதாவது காட்டுயிர்கள் வாரம், வேர்ல்டு வைல்ட் லைஃப் வீக், அக்டோபர் 2ஆம் தேதி இந்தியாவில் காந்தியினுடைய பிறந்த நாளிலிருந்து மகாத்மா காந்தியினுடைய பிறந்த நாள் தொடங்கப்படுகிறது. இந்த நிகழ்வை ஏற்பாடு செய்த இந்த தமிழ்நாடு வன உயர் பயிற்சியகம், தமிழ்நாடு ஃபாரஸ்ட் அகாடமியினுடைய இயக்குனர் மற்றும் இணை இயக்குனர் ஆகியோருக்கு என்னுடைய நன்றியை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். மிகுந்த அக்கறையோடு இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியை ஏற்பாடு செய்திருக்கிறார்கள். மருத்துவர் ஐயா மனோகர் அவர்கள் மிகுந்த அக்கறையோடு ஒருங்கிணைத்துக் கொண்டிருக்கிறார்கள். இந்த வாரத்தின் முதல் நிகழ்வில் மகிழ்ச்சிக்குரியதாக வனக்கல்லூரியினுடைய முதல்வர் அவர்கள் இதில் சிறப்புரையாற்றி இருப்பது பெரும் மகிழ்ச்சிக்குரியது. அது அவர்தான் இங்கு சிறப்புரையாற்றி இருக்கிறார். இந்த வாரத்தினுடைய இந்த செய்தியின் முன்னோட்டமாக நம்முடைய தமிழ் மரபில் காப்புகளை பற்றிய ஒரு ஏராளமான தகவல்கள் உண்டு. அந்த தகவல்களை, அதுவும் குறிப்பாக மாணவர்கள் நிறைய பேர் இருக்கிறீர்கள், வனக்கல்லூரி மாணவர்கள் இருக்கிறீர்கள், மற்ற இயற்கை ஆர்வலர்கள் இருக்கிறீர்கள். ஒரு சிறு செய்தியை மட்டும் சொல்லிக்கொண்டு முழு விவரத்தையும் இந்த காட்டுயிர் பாதுகாப்பு, வைல்ட் லைஃப் கன்சர்வேஷனுடைய தேவை பற்றி முதல்வர் பார்த்திபன் அவர்கள் நிறைய சொல்ல இருக்கிறார்கள். ஆகவே சொல்ல வந்தது என்னவென்றால், ஒரு சிறு செய்தியை மட்டும் சொல்கிறேன். நமக்கு நம்முடைய காட்டுயிர்களை பற்றிய அறிவுமே இன்னும் நம்முடைய குழந்தைகளுக்கு, நம்முடைய அடுத்த தலைமுறைக்கு நாம் சரியாக சொல்லி இருக்கிறோமா என்பதே மிக முக்கியமான கேள்வியாக இருக்கிறது. காரணம் என்னவென்றால், நாம் ஒரு நம்முடைய குழந்தைகளுக்கு பள்ளி பாடத்திட்டத்தை பார்த்தோம்னால் தெரியும். ஜீப்ரா, ஜிராஃபி, ஹிப்போபோட்டமஸ், ஆஸ்ட்ரிச் இதையெல்லாம் படம் காட்டிய உடனே நம் பிள்ளைகள் உடனே சொல்லிவிடும். ஆனால் எத்தனை குழந்தைகளுக்கு மவுஸ் டியரை பற்றி தெரியும்? எத்தனை குழந்தைகளுக்கு பார்க்கிங் டியர் என்று ஒரு மாநிலம் ஊரில் இருக்கிறது படம் பார்த்தோன்னு தெரிஞ்சுக்க முடியும்? இது ஒரு சருகுமான், ஒரு கேளையாடு, இதெல்லாம் நம்ம கிராமத்துல தாத்தாவுக்கு தெரியும். வந்து ஜீப்ரா, ஜிராஃபி, ஹிப்போபோட்டமஸ் எல்லாம் தெரியாது. ஆனா நம்ம ஊர் காட்டுவீர்கள் நம்ம குழந்தைகளுக்கு தெரியுமானா தெரியாது. இப்போ ஒரு மாதத்துக்கு முன்னாடி இணையதளங்களில் ஒரு படம் அப்படியே பரவலாக பார்க்கப்பட்டது. அந்த படம் நமக்கு வந்து நம்ம எல்லோருக்குமே ஒரு பாண்டா கரடி படம் பார்த்த உடனே பாண்டா கரடின்னு சொல்லி, பாண்டா இந்தியாவில் இல்லை, அது சைனாவில் இருக்கிறது. ஆனா நமக்கு நம்முடைய கண்ணுக்கு அதை பார்த்தோன்னே நமக்கு ஏன் தெரியுதுன்னா, பாண்டாவை காப்பாற்ற வேண்டும் என்று உலகளாவிய இயக்கம் நடைபெறுகிறது. அது அழிந்து வரக்கூடிய உயிரினம், அரிதான உயிரினம், அதை காப்பாற்ற வேண்டும் என்று. ஆனால் அதை நம்ம அதனால அதை தெரிந்து கொள்கிறோம். ஆனா நம்ம ஊர்ல ஒரு உயிரினம் இருக்குது, அதை பற்றி தான் இந்த போன வாரம் இணையதளங்களில் பரப்பப்படுது. ஒரு மாதத்துக்கு முன்பாக அந்த உயிரினத்தினுடைய படத்தை பார்த்து இது என்ன உயிரினம்னு கேட்டா, காட்டுயிர் ஆர்வலர்கள் என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய பலருக்கு அது தெரியாது. அது நீலகிரி மாற்றம் என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய ஒரு உயிரினம் நம்ம காட்டில் வந்து நம்ம மேற்கு தொடர்ச்சி மலைக்கு மட்டுமே உரிதானது. அரிதாகி வரும் உயிரினம், அழிந்து வரக்கூடிய உயிரினம். அதுக்கு தமிழ்ல என்ன பேர் இருக்குன்னு கேட்டா பேர் நாங்கெல்லாம் இளைஞர்னு சொல்றோம். அது சில பேர்கள் அங்கங்கே உள்ளூர் மக்களால் உச்சரிக்கப்படுகிறது. ஆனா ஒரு பொது பெயர் கிடையாது. இந்த நிலையில் தான் நம்முடைய இலக்கிய மரபு கொண்டாடப்பட்டோம்னா ஒரு செய்தி இருக்கு. நம்ம வந்து இந்த காட்டுயிர் வாரத்துல அழிந்து வரக்கூடிய உயிரினங்களை பற்றி நம்ம பேசுகிற போது அதில் மிக முக்கியமாக வல்ச்சர் இடம்பெறும். வல்ச்சரை பற்றி உங்களுக்கு எல்லாருக்கும் தெரியும். 90களில் மிக வேகமாக அழிந்து போன ஒரு உயிரினம், கோடிக்கணக்கில் இருந்து ஆயிரக்கணக்காக குறைந்து போன உயிரினமாக வல்ச்சர் என்ற அந்த பறவை இனம் கணிக்கப்படுகிறது. இறந்து போனதற்கான காரணம், வட இந்தியாவில் இறந்து போனதற்கான முதன்மையான காரணமாக அந்த டைக்னோபிளாக் என சொல்லப்படக்கூடிய வலி, கால்நடைகளுக்கு போடக்கூடிய வலி நிவாரணி தான் காரணம் என்று கண்டறியப்பட்டது. அது வந்து அந்த வல்ச்சரை வந்து நம்முடைய எக்கலாஜிக்கல் பிரமிட்ல பார்த்தோம்னா அது உச்சத்துல இருக்குது. புலி, சிறுத்தை காப்பாற்றப்பட வேண்டியது அதுக்கு எவ்வளவு முக்கியமோ அதை விட மிக முக்கியமானது இந்த ஸ்கேவெஞ்சர்ஸ் என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய வல்ச்சர்லாம் காப்பாற்றப்பட வேண்டும். வல்ச்சர் ஒரு காட்டுல இருக்குதுன்னா அந்த உயிர் சூழல்ல அது உச்சத்துல இருக்குது, அது ரொம்ப வளமையான அர்த்தம். இப்படி எல்லாம் நமக்கு தெரியும். ஆனா அதுக்கு என்ன தமிழ் பேர்? இதான் ரொம்ப சிக்கல். இந்த வல்ச்சருக்கு என்ன தமிழ் பேர் நம்ம வழங்கப்பட்டு வந்துச்சுன்னா பிணம் திண்ணி கருகுன்னு அந்த பேர் வழங்கப்பட்டு வந்துச்சு. ஏன்னா அது அப்படிதான் பிணம் திண்ணி கருகுன்னா அது வந்து அது ஒரு ஸ்கேவெஞ்சர். ஆகவே அப்படி ஒரு பேரை நம்ம வச்சுட்டோம். அந்த பேரை உச்சரிக்கும் போது கூட இயற்கை ஆர்வலர்களுக்கு, வனத்துறையினருக்கு எல்லாருக்கும் ஒரு சங்கடம் இருக்கு. ஆனா 2000 ஆண்டுகளுக்கு முன்பாக நம்முடைய தமிழ் இலக்கியத்துல ஒரு போர்க்கள காட்சியில பல இடங்களில் இந்த பறவை வர்ணிக்கப்படுகிறது. அது ஒரு படம் வரையில அவ்வளவுதான். அதனுடைய கழுத்து எப்படி இருக்கும், அலகு எப்படி இருக்கும், தலை எப்படி இருக்கும், உடல் எப்படி இருக்கும், இறக்கை எப்படி இருக்கும்னு சொல்லிட்டு 2000 ஆண்டுகளுக்கு முன்பாக 2 பெயர்களை வைத்திருக்கிறார்கள். எருவை என்று ஒரு பெயர், பாரு என்று ஒரு பெயர். இன்றைக்கு பாரு கருகு என்றும் எருவை கருகு என்றும் பெயர் வைத்திருக்கிறார். அப்படின்னா நம்முடைய முன்னோர்கள் அதை உன்னிப்பாக கவனித்திருக்கிறார். அதே போலதான் நம்ம ஊர்ல, நம்ம சத்தியமங்கலம் பக்கத்துல, நமக்கு பக்கத்துல சத்தியமங்கலம் சிறுமுகை வரைக்கும் வந்துருச்சு பிளாக் பக் என்கிற ஒரு உயிரினம். இந்த பிளாக் பக் தமிழ்ல வெளிமான்னு சொல்றோம். ஆனா நமக்கு தெரியும் அதை டீர்னு ஆங்கிலத்துல சொல்ல மாட்டோம். அது ஆன்டிலோப் வகை. டீருக்கும் ஆன்டிலோப்புக்குமான வேறுபாடு பல பேருக்கு தெரியும். அது டீர் நம்ம மான்னு சொன்னாலும் அது மிக முக்கியமான வேறுபாடு என்னன்னா, பொதுவாகவே மான்களுக்கு ஆண்களுக்கு மட்டும்தான் கொம்பு இருக்கும். இந்த வெளிமானுக்கும் அப்படிதான் ஆண்களுக்கு தான் கொம்பு இருக்கும். ஆனா ஆன்டிலோப்புக்கும் டீருக்குமான முக்கியமான வித்தியாசம் என்னன்னா, மான்களுக்கு கொம்பு விழுந்து விழுந்து முளைக்கும். ஆனா இந்த ஆன்டிலோப் என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய உயிரினங்களுக்கு பெர்மனண்டா இருக்கும். அப்ப அதுக்கு என்ன பெயர் வைப்பது? தமிழ்ல கொம்பு விழா மான் இப்படிதான் சொல்லிக்கிட்டு இருக்கோம். இந்த கொம்பு விழா மான் என்ன தமிழ்ல பேர்ல ஆன்டிலோப்னா கொம்பு விழா மான். ஆனா இதையும் அப்படிதான் 2000 ஆண்டுகளுக்கு முன்பாக சங்க இலக்கியம் அதை மிக அழகாக பதிவு செய்கிறது. இரளை என்கிற பெயரை பதிவு செய்திருக்கிறது. இரளைனா கொம்பு விழாமான். இப்போது ஆன்டிலோப்க்கு இரளை என்கிற வகைப்பாடை நாம் சொல்கிறோம். ஏன் இதை சொல்றோம்னா, அன்னைக்கு வைல்ட் லைஃப் பயாலஜி கிடையாது, ஜுவாலஜி கிடையாது, ஃபாரஸ்ட்ரி கிடையாது. ஆனால் இயற்கையை அவர்கள் மிக உன்னிப்பாக கவனித்து இயற்கையை சரியாக பதிவு செய்திருக்கிறார்கள். இதை விட மிக முக்கியமாக ஒரு இயற்கை நேயம் அவர்களிடம் இருந்திருக்கிறார். 2 உதாரணத்தோட அதை சொல்லிடலாம். ஒரு உதாரணம் பாத்தீங்கன்னா, நீங்க காட்டுயிர்கள் பாதுகாப்பை பற்றி பேசுகிற போது இன்னைக்கு ரொம்ப முக்கியமா பார்த்து காட்டுயிர்களுடைய வாழ்விடங்களை பாதுகாப்பு. அந்த வாழ்விடங்களுக்கு நுழையும் போது எப்படி நுழைய வேண்டும், எப்படி நுழையக்கூடாது என்பதற்கு ஒரு பெரிய விதிமுறைகளை நாம் வைத்திருக்கிறோம். அது முதன்மையானது எப்போதுமே காட்டுயிர்கள் வாழக்கூடிய காட்டுப்பகுதியில் நாம் நுழைகிற போது நம்முடைய வாய் மௌனமாகிவிட வேண்டும். கண்ணு, காது, மூக்கு இதுதான் விழித்திருக்கும். இதுதான் விதி. ஏன்னா அது அவங்க வீடு. நம்ம அவங்க என்ன பண்றாங்கன்னு கவனிக்கணும். அவங்களுக்கு தொந்தரவு பண்ணக்கூடாது. காட்டு பகுதியில் ஆறு அடிக்க கூட தயங்க வேண்டும். அப்படிதான் காட்டுயிர் பாதுகாப்பை பற்றிய செய்திகள் நமக்கு சொல்லிக் கொடுக்குது. இதெல்லாம் நவீன வைல்ட் லைஃப் கன்சர்வேஷன் விதிகள். ஆனா 2000 ஆண்டுக்கு முன்பாக ஒரு சங்க இலக்கிய பாடல் ஒரு செய்தியை பதிவு பண்ணுது. ஒரு தலைவன் ஒரு வண்டியில போயிட்டு இருக்கான், மாட்டு வண்டியில போயிட்டு இருக்கான். நல்ல வசதியானவன். ஆகவே வண்டி நல்ல தேர் கட்டிய வண்டியில போயிட்டு இருக்கான். அப்படி போய்கொண்டிருக்கிற போது ஒரு காலை பொழுது, அந்த காலை பொழுதில் அவர் போய்கொண்டிருக்கிற போது திடீரென்று வண்டியை நிறுத்துகிறார். நிறுத்தினவரு வண்டியை விட்டு இறங்கி அந்த மாட்டின் கழுத்தில் ஒரு பெரிய மணி கட்டப்பட்டிருக்கு. அந்த மணியினுடைய நாக்க அப்படி இழுத்து கட்டுறாரு. அந்த பெல்லை இழுத்து கட்டுறாரு. வெளியில சத்தம் வரக்கூடாது, ஒலி வரக்கூடாது. ஏன் அந்த மணி நாக்க கட்டுறாருன்னா, தாதுவுன் பறவை பேதூர லஞ்சி மணினா அர்த்த மான்வினை தேரன்னு இலக்கியம் அதை பதிவு செய்யுது. தாதுவுன் பறவை காலையில அதிகாலையில அங்க இருக்கக்கூடிய மலர்கள்ல பறவைகளும் பூச்சினங்களும் தேன் குடிச்சிட்டு இருக்கு. அப்படி தேன் குடிச்சிட்டு இருக்கிற அந்த அவற்றை நான் போற வண்டியினுடைய அந்த மணி சத்தம், அந்த மாட்டினுடைய மணி சத்தம் கேட்டு அவை தொந்தரவடைந்து விடக்கூடாது என்பதற்காக தாதுரை பேதூரல் அஞ்சி மணினா அத்த மான்வினை தேரன்னு ஒரு உயர்ந்த மரபு நம்மிடம் இருப்பதை இலக்கியம் பதிவு செய்தது. இப்படி ஏராளமான காட்சிகளை தமிழ் இலக்கியம் நாம் பதிவு செய்தது. பகுத்துண்டு பல்லுயிர் ஓம்பல் அப்படின்னு சொன்னது நம்முடைய இலக்கியம் தான். எல்லா உயிர்களையும் நேசிக்க கற்றுக் கொடுத்த உயர்ந்த மரபு நம்மிடம் இருக்கிறது. ஒரு ஒரு காட்சியில இலக்கியம் சொல்லுது, ஒரு வேங்கை மரத்தை ஒரு இலக்கியம் பதிவு கொடுக்குது. மரங்களை பற்றி நம்முடைய இலக்கியம் சொன்ன மாதிரி யாருமே சொல்ல முடியாது. அது உங்களுக்கு பல பேருக்கு தெரியும். ஒரு நற்றிணை பாடல். அந்த நற்றிணை பாடல் எப்படி சொல்லுதுன்னா, மரத்தை எப்படி நேசிக்க வேண்டும் என்று சொல்லுதுன்னா ரொம்ப ஆச்சரியமா இருக்கும். அந்த பாடல் சொல்லுகிறது, அது உங்களுக்கு பல பேருக்கு தெரியும். ஒரு தலைவனுக்காக தலைவி வருவார் என்பதற்காக தலைவன் காத்திருக்கிறான். ஒரு மரத்தடியில் அமர்ந்து காத்திருக்கிறான். அப்படி காத்திருக்கிற போது தலைவி வரா, உட்கார சொல்றான். ஆனா தலைவி உட்கார மாட்டேங்கிறான். அவன் கையை பிடிச்சி இழுத்துட்டு போயிட்டு தள்ளி போயிட்டு இன்னொரு மரத்தடியில உட்கார. தலைவனுக்கு கொஞ்சம் கோபம் வந்துச்சு. உனக்கு என்ன கிருக்கா? அதுவும் புன்னை மரம், இதுவும் புன்னை மரம். அங்க உட்கார சொன்னா உட்காராம இங்க உட்காரையே அப்படின்னு அவன் சிறுங்கிற போதுதான் தலைவி சொல்றா, உனக்கு தெரியாது, உனக்கு அந்த மரத்தை பத்தி தெரியாது. அந்த மரத்தை பத்தி எங்க அம்மா சொல்லியிருக்கா. என்ன சொல்லியிருக்கிறான்னா, அவ சிறுமியா இருக்கிற போது, எங்க அம்மா சிறுமியா இருக்கிற போது தன்னுடைய தோழியரோட விளையாண்டுட்டா. விதைகளை வைத்துக் கொண்டு விளையாடுகிறா. அந்த விதைகளை வைத்துக் கொண்டு அவர் விளையாடும் போது அவளால் விளையாடிய விதைகளில் ஒன்று மண்ணில் புதைந்து முளைக்க ஆரம்பிச்சிருக்கிறது. தன் கையிலிருந்து விழுந்த விதை முளைக்க ஆரம்பிச்சிருச்சு என்பதற்காக அந்த விதைய தண்ணீர் ஊற்றி வளர்க்க ஆரம்பிச்சிருக்கிறார். அந்த விதைதான் மரமாகி இருக்கிறது. தன்னால் வளர்க்கப்பட்ட மரம் அது. அதை பத்தி எங்க அம்மா எனக்கு சொல்லி இருக்கிறா. நுண்ணிலும் சிறந்தது நுவையாகும் என்று அன்னை சொன்னால் புன்னை அது சிறப்பு. நுண்ணிலும் சிறந்தது, உன்னை விட சிறந்தது. நான் பெத்த மகன் சொல்ற உன்னை விட சிறந்தது யாருன்னு கேட்டா நுவையாகும், உனக்கு அக்காவாகும் அது. ஏன்னா என் கையிலிருந்து வந்தது என்று. நுண்ணிலும் சிறந்தது நுவையாகும் என்று அன்னை சொன்னால் புன்னை அது சிறப்பு என்று ஒரு புன்னை மரத்தை தன் உடன்பிறப்பாக கருதிய ஒரு உயர்ந்த மரபு நம்மிடம் இருந்திருக்கிறது. இன்னொரு காட்சியில ஒரு தலைவன் தலைவியை விட்டு பிரிந்து ஏதோ வியாபாரம் நோக்கு போயிருக்கான். விரைந்து வருகிறேன்னு சொல்லிட்டு போனவன் எந்த தகவலும் வரல. இன்னைக்கு வாய்ஸ் போல் இல்ல. நான் பேசுகிற இடத்திலிருந்து இன்னொரு இடத்தில் எங்கோ இருக்கிற நீங்கள் கேட்டுக்கொண்டிருக்கிற இந்த நவீனம் எல்லாம் இல்ல.
ஆனா வரணும் என்கிற ஆசை, தகவல் என்கிற கவலை. அந்த கவலைய தோழியிடம் எப்படி தலைவி பேசுறான்னா, தலைவன் வரேன்னு சொல்லிட்டு வராம போயிட்டான், நமக்கு எந்த தகவலுமே தரல. சரி, நமக்கு தான் தரல, எங்களுக்கு நட்பாக இருக்கிற அந்த வேங்கை மரம், அந்த வேங்க மரத்து அடியில் தான் நாங்க பேசுவோம். அது எங்களுடைய உற்ற நண்பன். அந்த வேங்க மரத்தாவது பறவைகள் மூலமா நான் எங்க இருக்கேன்னு தகவல் கொடுத்துக்கலாம் இல்லையா என்று ஒரு மரத்தை தன்னுடைய தோழமையாக பார்க்க உறவு நம்மிடம் இருந்திருக்கிறது. இன்னொரு பாடல்ல ஒரு மரத்தை, அது இன்னும் ஆச்சரியமா இருக்கு. ஒரு 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 நோயாளி ஒரு மருத்துவரை பார்க்க வருகிறார். பொதுவாக டாக்டர் பார்க்க போனோம்னா டாக்டர் தான் நிறைய கண்டிஷன் போடுவார் நோயாளிக்கு. ஆனா இங்க என்ன நடக்குதுன்னு கேட்டா, அந்த நோயாளி மருத்துவரை பார்த்து சொல்றாரு, எனக்கு இந்த நோய் வந்திருக்குது, இந்த நோய்க்கு நான் பல பேரோட மருத்துவம் போனேன், எனக்கு சரியாகல, எல்லாரும் சொல்றாங்க உங்கள்கிட்ட போனா சரியாகுது, நம்பிக்கையோட வந்திருக்கிறேன். ஆனா இந்த நோய் தீர நீங்க கொடுக்கிற மருந்த ஒரு மரத்தினுடைய இடையிலிருந்து பண்ணி கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா நான் ஏற்றுக்குவேன், பழத்திலிருந்து காயிலிருந்து பண்ணி கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா நான் ஏற்றுக்குவேன், பட்டையிலிருந்து எடுத்து கொடுத்தா கூட நான் ஏற்றுக்குவேன். ஆனா ஒரு மரத்தினுடைய வேரிலிருந்து எனக்கு மருந்து செஞ்சு கொடுத்து அந்த மரத்தினாலதான் என்னுடைய நோய் குணமாகும்னா, மரம் சா மருந்தும் கொளார் மாந்தர், மரம் செத்து போயிட்டுதான் எனக்கு மருந்து வேணும்னா என் நோய் இருந்துட்டு போகட்டும், மரம் வாழட்டும் என்று நினைத்த ஒரு உயர்ந்த மரபு நம்மிடம் இருக்கிறது. இதுதான் நம்முடைய மரபு. இப்படி ஏராளமான செய்திகளை உள்ளடக்கியது நம்முடைய இலக்கியம். அந்த இலக்கியத்தில் நமக்கு இன்றைக்கு நாம் அறிந்து வைத்திருக்கிற பல உயிரினங்களை பற்றி பல்வேறு தகவல்கள் உண்டு. இந்த இலக்கியத்தை, காட்டுயிர்களை பற்றி அறிந்தவர்கள் நம்முடைய தமிழ் இலக்கியத்தை ஒரு மறுவாசிக்கு உட்படுத்தினாங்கன்னா அதுல ஏராளமான தகவல்கள் உண்டு. அந்த தகவல்கள் இன்றைக்கு நாம் பேசுகிற நமக்கு என்ன வேணும்னா, காட்டு உயிர்களுக்கும் நமக்குமான ஒரு நேசம், அந்த நேசம் நம்முடைய மரபிலே இருக்கிறது. அந்த மரபை தேடி கண்டுபிடிக்க வேண்டிய பொறுப்பும் நம்மிடம் இருக்கிறது. அதுதான் நமக்கு நம்ம இன்னைக்கு காட்டுயிர் வைல்ட் லைஃப் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட், வைல்ட் லைஃப் கன்சர்வேஷன் என்கிற நவீன வார்த்தைகளை எல்லாம் அந்த வார்த்தைகளை சொல்லாமலே உயிர்களை வாழ வைக்கும், உயிர்கள் மீதான ஒரு பெரிய கரிசனம், பெரிய அன்பும் கொண்ட ஒரு சமூகமாக நம்முடைய முன்னோர்கள் இருந்திருக்கிறார்கள் என்கிற செய்தியை இந்த நாளில் உங்களோடு பதிவு செய்து கொண்டு இந்த நாடுகளுடைய சிறப்புரை முதல்வர் வனக்கல்லூரி அவர்கள் ஆற்ற வேண்டும். அவர் ஒரு நீண்ட சிறப்புரையாற்ற இருக்கிறார். இந்த நாளில் வன உயிரின வாரத்தில் உங்களோடு என்னுடைய உணர்வுகளை பதிவு செய்ய கிடைத்த இந்த வாய்ப்புக்கு அனைவருக்கும் நன்றி சொல்லி விடைபெறுகிறேன். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
தேங்க்யூ. இது ஒரு பெரிய ஒரு வனவிலங்கு இல்ல ஒரு இலக்கியம் மழை பெய்து ஒரு நல்ல ஒரு செழிப்பு கிடைத்த ஒரு ஃபீலிங் எனக்கு உண்டாகுது. ஃபார் தி பெனிஃபிட் ஆஃப் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் ஃப்ரம் அதர் ஸ்டேட்ஸ், sir was telling about our literature and our ancestors, how they have related beauty, valor, brotherhood, sisterhood, your motherly instincts, your paternal care, all those things were recorded beautifully by your ancestors in the ancient literatures. And before the biology, whatever wildlife biology we have, wildlife sciences, researchers, whatever they have done at that point of time indicate that they were living along with nature. So they were able to appreciate nature. So sir was telling two or three beautiful examples. When a person was traveling through the forest area, when sound is made by the bell of a cattle, the farmer knows that he is not supposed to make the noise inside the forest area in the early morning, because that might disturb or that will disturb the birds and the bees which are going for honey collection or for their feeding time. So he is not supposed to collect. Likewise, sir has elaborated so many things. Thanks a lot on behalf of our director of the academy. Thank you, Mr. Now we have our reputed and respected Mr. Parthiban sir, Dr. Parthiban sir. He is Dean of Forest College and Research Institute. It is a institute under the Tamil Nadu Agnes University, and from 1985 onwards it is functioning from Mettupalayam. And sir is a specialist in tree breeding. The Forest College has produced, you will only say, IAS officers, not less than 2 IPS officers and 115 Indian Forest Service officers. இந்திய வனப்பணியில இன்னைக்கு இந்தியா முழுசுக்குரிய 115 முதல் 120 IFS officers ப்ரொடியூஸ் பண்ண ஒரு காலேஜினுடைய டீன் அவங்க. And our team sir is very instrumental, in modeling researches, which has got a far-reaching effect in conserving the flora and fauna. So we are very fortunate to have sir today. Sir, we are very thankful to you for sparing your valuable time and your sharing of knowledge with us, sir. Go to
Thank you, sir. Am I audible? My voice is okay?
Sir, I just want to share one point, sir. Behalf of the Forest Academy, just one point, sir. Our director, IFS, who is the present director in Tamil Nadu Forest Academy, is the first IFS officer from the FCRI, and he was a gold medalist at that time. And so we are very fortunate to have both of you, sir, this academy and you, sir. So on behalf of director, once again we invite Dean, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, everyone. First of all, let me please clear whether my voice is audible.
Yes, sir. Voice is audible, sir.
Audible. The spectators, the listeners who are listening to me through online, any one of you, can you confirm through chat messages whether my voice is audible?
Yes, sir. It's audible, sir.
Okay. Respected director, Tamil Nadu Forest Academy, the deputy director, Dr. Manoharan sir, President OSI organization, Mr. Kalidasan, all the participants who are joining us to promote methodology, and those who are present in TNFA and those who are present in another Zoo, and all those who are connected both within the country and outside the country, and my own boys and girls who are connected through online. Ladies and gentlemen, I am really pleased. First of all, my sincere thanks to the director, TNFA, respected additional PCCF, and the pride of Forest College, Sri Anwaruddin. Because of his entrance, I think the Forest College has affiliated, and now we are respected additional PCCF is heading TNFA, and I am of course heading Forest College and Research Institute. It's a happy moment as well as a guest today, not a guest, but I am really a participant. Whatever Kalidasan sir has indicated, the Tamil literature and the wildlife are inseparable, really inseparable. I predominantly use both the languages, both Tamil and English, because many of the participants are predominantly from some of the North Indian states, so that's the reason maybe I may be using predominantly English and followed by Tamil wherever it is needed. So definitely, whatever Kalidasan sir has said, wildlife and Tamil literature, you never, they are all inseparable. Very difficult. Even I have traced the whole history of India. You start the epics of the Ramayana or Mahabharata, or maybe the Indus Valley civilization, or whatever the inscripts available in the whole country, it all indicates the results of wildlife and its association with the people, its association with the biodiversity, and ultimately its association with the entire ecosystem of the body. So that's a very classical example. And India is one of the unique country. Really, it's a unique country. And you cannot, imagine country like India. Globally, people have identified more than 36 hotspots. India is housed with 3 different hotspots. And we are very privileged. We are in Western Ghats, one of the prestigious hotspots. And today we are all celebrating the Wildlife Week celebration. Always many people think that wildlife means it's only animals like elephants, deers, or maybe tigers and lions. But wildlife is any life in the wild set. It may be an animal, it may be a microfauna, it may be a microflora, or it may be a flora of maximum margin. All these things, wild lives, all these wildlife, really they play a vital role in the whole country. So that is the reason India is now pronounced to be a biologically rich country, because the whole country from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, we are being the entire country land use system, particularly forestry land use system. We have predominantly 5 major forest types: tropical, subtropical, temperate, maybe alpine and subalpine forest types, and that represents from a minus 15 degrees up to a maximum of 45 degrees in Rajasthan. So that's the classical, the climatic era. And all these climatic era, the biotic era, and the edaphic era, these three important factors, along with the topographic system, it supports wild form of the flora and fauna. And India, you take the total country's geographic area is hardly 329 million hectares, which represents hardly 2.4% of the total geographic area of the world. But we support the maximum human population, maximum domestic animal population, and we are also proud to have maximum animal population. And this is very clear, the whole country supports more than 7% of mammalian population. It's very, very unique compared to other tropical countries like Africa. And we are very unique. We support more than 7% of mammalian population, more than 12% of avifaunal population, birds population. That means we still own. That is the reason Mr. Kalidasan sir has indicated the vultures. The vultures are under threatened stages because vultures are very unique. It is not only omnivores, but it's the same thing. They are acting as a scavenging ability. So that's the reason it supports. The country supports more than 12% of the avian population, and more than 6% of again the reptile population. That is another important unique systems. The tropical country richness is witnessed because of reptilism. And over and above, we have the floral diversity. India is housed with more than 45,000 species, very, very unimaginable, out of which more than 15,000 species are flowering types. So that means all these habitats are very, very important. And over and above, more than 90,000 of the animal population, which includes insects as well, more than 90,000. That means the country is rich and diverse in terms of flora, in terms of fauna, and all these are, they have to be stabilized. That stabilization starts with what we call as a maybe ecosystem stability or biological conservation. And today what we are celebrating is a wildlife week celebration, wildlife conservation. That means conserve all lives which are occurring in wild. Uncultivated or unmanaged form of life is called wildlife. That includes both flora and fauna. So we as an Indian, we should be very proud to celebrate this particular function because the next 1 week, the whole country will celebrate. Thanks to Forest Department and thanks to Director TNFA for having arranged this particular function because Tamil Nadu is one state which is very, very unique, comprising more than 9 forest types out of 16 forest types representing the whole country. That means the state of Tamil Nadu is also rich in terms of all diverse. And the Tamil Nadu, one of the unique is Western Ghats comes under the hotspots. This hotspot supports more than 3,500 native endemic species which are very, very vital to both domestic and other utility. And these are all representing both flora and fauna. So automatically, the country is very, very rich resources. These resources need to be protected. Fortunately, several developments are happening in the country to protect plant floral population. But what is happening in animal population? Because floral population, every citizen in the country takes care of the conservation. Because now planting tree is getting mandated. Planting tree by any organization, any institution, any government service department or NGO or any individual, it is taking a mandate. But how to preserve animals? That's a major system. Our animal is vested predominantly with the forest department. And of course, there are a lot of outside players playing a role to create awareness. That's a system. The government of India have taken a very clear role in 1952. 1952 was very unique. Country first time introduced the national forest policy. Till 1952, the whole country forest policy was predominantly from the British's forest policy enunciated in the year 1894. But 1952, the independent India, pronounced a new policy, national forest policy, and that has given a very unique momentum for conservation of wild animals, conservation of flora, and again conservation of the entire ecosystem. And during that period, thanks to wildlife, the Ministry of Environment and Forests promoted to create what is called as the Wildlife Week celebrations. So that concept started in the year 1952. Of course, it has become institutionalized from the year 1954 onwards. So from 1954 onwards, every year, from the October 2 up to October 8, I think some states follow October 1 to October 8. So predominantly 2 to 8 is a major system. In all these 7 days, people celebrate Wildlife Week. The purpose is very clear. Create awareness. Why to create awareness? You know what the Indian Constitution says? It is a fundamental duty of each and every citizen. You refer Article 48A. Similarly, refer Article 52A. All these articles says very clearly, it's a fundamental duty of each and every citizen in the country to protect all forms of life in the forest. Not only environment, but also the wildlife as well. So that is the reason you and me have enough role to play to protect all wild forms of life, which may be a flora, which may be a fauna. That's a major impact which the country has witnessed. Not only this, and not only the constitution, but historically, some of the animals are linked to the gods. Very classical example, take elephants. Elephants are always linked with the god Ganesha. All the time, we Vinayaka Chaturthi, we celebrate, but various forms of elephants are witnessed. That is also known. Similarly, lions and tigers, they are all witnessed in the name of God Durga. That is also very well witnessed. You take Lord Shiva, almost reptile forms, snakes, they are all witnessed. You take the inscripts of Ashoka Empire. I think wild forms of lot of the array of literatures are available to witness the wildlife is an integral part of not only the ecosystem, but also the integral part of the human system as well. There was a stage, ஒரு காலத்துல பாத்தீங்கன்னா மாடு கட்டி போரடித்தால் மாலாதி என்று யானை கட்டி போரடித்தார்களாம். That means wild animals were domesticated, they were inculcated in the entire life form of the domestic system. That is also happening in the system. You take historically, you refer all the Mughal emperors. All the Mughal emperors, they were owning different, different what is called the padaigal, Yanai padai, Kudrai padai. These are all mandated system in their entire kingdom domain. They are all rich. When they say always, how the King Alexander was known as a king. He was known as a king. Other than other sector, the elephant army, whatever he was owning, that has given a very big strength that has made him to travel across the world. So that is the system which is happening in the entire country. Definitely, we are very clear. We should be very proud to celebrate this particular wildlife with celebrations. Ultimately, the idea is to create awareness. The awareness not only to all the common man, but the educationalists, the professional foresters, maybe the scientists who are involved in the conservation aspect and also promotional aspect. Over and above, it has to reach the common school children and the common man, because they should be taught why wildlife is an integral part. Imagine there is no butterfly in the forest, there is no honeybees in the forest. Definitely, there may be no pollination. If there is no pollination, there is no diversity. So automatically, there are even small creatures like butterflies, like honeybees. Imagine in the absence of butterflies and honeybees, how the pollination will take, how the diversity will occur. All these things are matters. Similarly, you take the proud of Indian wildlife like elephants. Imagine without elephants, how a forest look like. Always, all the country, the people not only within the country, outside the country, whenever they look into the forest, they always look into the forest with the gigantic animals. Originally, it was a dinosaurs. Today, the elephant is the largest animal across the world. Maybe Asian elephants, African elephants, and today Asian elephants also getting larger. So why I'm saying this? Animals are an integral part of the ecosystem, integral part of the forest. Though the country claims, we claim that more than 60 different types of forests and more than 250 subtypes of forests. Each and every forest types have a uniqueness in supporting each and every category of animals. So definitely, without animals, there is no plants, and without plants, there is no animals, though they are all integrity. That integrity goes to what is called the ecosystem stability. And that is the reason the whole the forest department is taking care of almost all the entire country, almost all the forest department is taking care of the community, creating awareness among the populations, among the people regarding the wildlife week celebrations and the purpose of why to conserve all these wild animals and the wild flora, particularly to create an ecosystem stability. So this is a major system, not only to create awareness, but also make them be a part of the conservation program. Make them be a part so that they should not do any harmfulness to the animals. They should not do any harmfulness to the floral as well. All these things because of the country's rich biodiversity. Always we look into the system, the biodiversity and the associated, the habitat richness needs to be protected. That's a major role for celebrating this particular wildlife week celebration. Over and above, it is also, I have said, more than 90,000 animal populations are available. But whatever the animals identified taxonomically, whatever the animals identified for conservation measures, they are very, very hardly represent 30% of the total population. That means still there are many more animals, including microfaunal population, needs to be assessed, for which a systematic scientific assessment needs to be done, and that forest department alone cannot do. So all the people, all the stakeholders, including NGOs and other people who are associated with the forest department, who are involved in really the protection and conservation of the wilderness, automatically they can play a vital role. And there are people, what we call as the aboriginals, or maybe the traditional tribal communities, who always live along with the animals and the rural populations. And their indigenous technical knowledge, particularly to conserve the animals, to protect the animals, to make the animals coexist along with the existing fringe areas. All these things need to be, thorough existing knowledge need to be studied. That is the reason, create more awareness among the populations, particularly the forest department, those who are the young forest officers, those who are watching this through online. We have to create a system so that indigenous knowledge available among the tribal community needs to be documented. The documentation needs to be promoted so that these animals can be conserved with a very scientifically, and also it has to be continued on a sustainable basis. And another important major system is, I have already indicated, pollination. The diversity is because of the wide range of pollination. Because many of us know that trees are highly, not only trees, when you take a forest, it supports a lot of grasses, herbs, shrubs, small trees, maybe the exact dominance of larger trees. All this population, they do have a flowering ability. They do have a crossing ability. So there are chances of crossing over across genetic resources. All these crossing over not only happens within the plant system, but also across the animal system. That is the reason even there exists a diversity among the both flora as well as fauna. Definitely, for all these breeding protocols or breeding procedural formalities, it can be done through a captive breeding, like what our forest department does. But natural breeding is a mandatory system. For continuing the natural breeding, for continuing the natural pollination, definitely the habitation, the existing ecosystem of the habitat must be rich in terms of flowering, rich in terms of fruiting, rich in terms of the existing feeding behavior. All these things are matters so that the entire sustainability will be continued. Over and above, now today, the forest is seen as a part of ecosystem and ecotourism concept. So the aesthetic and the recreational values of forest depends on the wilderness, depends on the richness of biodiversity, both the flora and fauna. Definitely this needs to be promoted. And other than this, the forests and the associated wildlife, definitely their services, ecosystem services. Normally people are valuing ecosystem services of predominantly the plant community. But the ecosystem services of animals are very, very important. What the animal gives in terms of direct benefits, how the animal gives in terms of aesthetic benefits, how the animals, the animals means both small as well as macro. So macro automatically how they extend in terms of cultural values and how it extend value in terms of supporting services. So all these ecosystem services needs to be dealt with the existing, the young group and those who are involved in the promotional and the conservation aspect, definitely, for which conservation is very, very important. And above all, the research systems, the animal research and the floral research. Floral research, I think it is done by almost all the institutes and the organizations across the country. As far as animal research, it is vested with only few agencies, predominantly with the Forest Department, maybe Wildlife Institute of India, maybe some agencies like WWF, maybe some of the NGOs like OSIS. So all still more participations are to be needed. Whatever it has been done, floral research or the forest types research, maybe the tree research, whatever it has been done, similar research it has been done both in the animals as well, for which there must be a close collaboration, close association among the stakeholders. Definitely, if that is the case, we can identify what is the existing problem with the animals, what is the existing problem with the wildlife. And even if you take the Government of India reports, all the existing research reports, the problems to the existing wildlife is very, very huge. One of the major problems said is habitat loss. You take right from independence Assam today, the diversion of forest area, forest land for non-forestry purposes, huge construction of check dams, construction of the diversion of land for agriculture purposes, diversion of land for industrial purposes. Even I have also traced the whole history. The deforestation rate in the country, it has witnessed more than 1.5 million hectares per annum from independence up to 1980s. Thanks to Government of India for having enacted one of the best act in the country, Forest Conservation Act, which has almost eliminated the diversion of forestry land for non-forestry purposes. That's a very classical example. So that has made the legal provision to conserve all both animal populations and the floral population. That means the total forest area in the country is conserved. And again, this has been supported by another important forest policy, 1988. which has given clear direction in the across stakeholders. All the stakeholders in the country who are using forestry products, forest and forestry product directly from the forest, it has been totally stopped. And again, thanks to Honorable Supreme Court for having given a complete restriction on felling of trees. These are all made, real conversion of habitat loss that has been prevented really. So thanks to Forest Department for both policy and legal legislation, which made to protect the entire habitat. Habitat loss has come down. It is going to be totally stopped. That means we are going to protect the whole system. Not only habitat loss alone, but today the changes in cropping pattern, particularly the forest areas and the fringe villages, the villages which are located near to the forest area. Everyone talks about the human-animal problems. What are the reasons for the human-animal problems? I think everyone says multitude of problems, but problems need to be understandable, needs to be very clearly scientifically documented through a series of studies. That's the reason if the wildlife conservation is very important, it has to be supported with the scientific research. Why animal comes to the habitual area? That means this is the system, whether it is for food or it is for water or it is for any other systems. All these things need to be studied very elaborately. Similarly, can we coexist with the existing system of animals and the people? Can we, if there is a possibility of coexistence of animals and the human beings, again, what are the modalities? Scientific modalities which can sustain the availability of both men and animal in the existing habitat. And similarly, poaching almost now it is getting totally stopped. And it is not like other African countries. Maybe except maybe a few incidents of rhinoceros and other things, I think poaching is almost totally stopped. That means we are still, our legal enforcement is very, very, very good. That really protects all the animals. Definitely, that is a very good. Government of India takes care of the lot of issues, lot of strategies, particularly those who are watching to me through online. I think India is one of the countries where we have created large number of protected areas. The protected areas runs anything more than nearly 870 protected areas in the form of sanctuaries, national parks, conservation reserves, maybe the community reserves. All these are representing really taking care of the protection of all animals and the flora. But still, this has to be, it has to be sustained in participation with almost all the stakeholders. That's a major system which really we have to take. And Government of India has also identified, both the State Forest Department and the Central Forest Department, they have identified conservation sites. One of the classical examples is wetland conservation sites. Similarly, biodiversity heritage sites, key biodiversity areas, elephant reserves. All these things are biodiversity reserves. All these are what we call the important conservation sites. These are all very, very important, very particularly to protect the wild animals, to protect the floral population, and protect the existing habitat is very, very important. Over and above, we are protecting the entire forest areas, which represents anything around 21% of the total natural forest area, in addition to another 2 to 3% of the trees outside forest. And this awareness creation and the legal provision and the policy provision, it is not happening only in a day or two. It is happening right from independence onwards. I think Government of India has given a very important criteria, particularly the Project Tiger, Project Elephant, Project Rhinoceros, Project Leopard, Project Crocodile, and the almost Project Dolphin as well. So all these things are very important system, because for each and every animal, wherever the Government of India feels that the animal is under threat, the animal is under the problem of extinction, and it is taking very careful measures, legal measures, and that made us today, the tiger population is increased. Increase in the sense, it was only 1,400. Today, we have witnessed more than 2,500 tiger population. Similarly, elephant population. We have more than 27,000 elephant population across India. South India is very good. Even in Tamil Nadu, the census says it crosses more than 2,500. But still, these animals need to be protected. Their food reservoirs need to be protected. Their habitation, whatever the habitat or whatever the ecosystem it is living, it is dwelling, both for feeding as well as for breeding. Definitely, even for their ecosystem, entire range, all these things need to be protected. Whatever the government takes, we should also be a part of this program, so that this is very, very important. And there are a wide range of conventions also created, not only within the country, but outside the country. One of the important convention I should really mention here, the CITES Convention. Particularly, the CITES Convention is very, very important. That has banned really the international trade of the animal products. That is very, very, not only animal products, even some of the floral, tree product as well. That is the reason red sandals or sandalwood, they are all coming under the category of the sites. Automatically, the global organizations, global government agencies, global non-governmental agencies, national government agencies, national NGOs, they're all taking care of wide range of systems, and particularly the IUCN's efforts to conserve the nature and natural resources very, very laudable. Definitely, we should be a part of it. And similarly, the Government of India has early in 1992 enacted the Convention on Biological Diversity that has given a very clear indications how to handle the biological resources, the both fauna and floral systems. Similarly, for the legality, 1972 Wildlife Protection Act takes care of. For utilization, sustainable utilization of biological resources, the Convention of Biological Diversity is very, very important. All these things are the happenings, both the legal systems and the institutional mechanism to protect the wild flora and fauna. But considering all these efforts taken by Government of India, still there are threats. The threats are classified into various categories. That threats are many human-made threats or maybe the natural threats. Predominantly, everyone claims that it's a human-made threats. And one of the major threats identified is a habitat loss. That is what I have said. We have to protect the habitat loss. Whatever the forest, it has to be, already it is in the purview of Forest Conservation Act, but still it has to be, we have to create awareness so that those people who live within the forested ecosystem, those people who live near to the forest fringe areas, those who are living in the semi-urban forested areas, all these people need to be created awareness so that they should play a vital role to protect the existing habitat. And second important major problem is deforestation. Fortunately, again, thanks to Government of India for having implemented Conservation Act, but because of these things, deforestation rate in the country has come down, and the conversion of forest area for non-forestry purposes has drastically been reduced. But still, it has to be more said. Other than forestry purposes, for non-forestry purposes, strict measures need to be taken. So definitely, that is one of the major systems which we have to take part of these systems. We should take a very clear decision. Any illegal felling or any illegal deforestation need to be prohibited, need to be protected. Definitely, we have to take care of. And third important major system is poaching. I have already indicated poaching has almost getting declined, or except maybe one or two incidences. Otherwise, those who are involved, they need to be really created awareness. That's the reason today the science and technology has given very elaborate system. Whatever we are doing, that is exposed immediately in no seconds. Automatically, awareness has come, but it has to be inculcated within the system as per the provisions of Indian constitutions. Then hunting, of course, I am not reading any hunting in the South Indian conditions. Maybe in North India, one or two incidences are still happening, but South India, almost hunting is almost getting obsolete now. But still, if at all anything happens, maybe all the listeners, we should take care. Those hunters have to be identified. Definitely, it has to be reported in the system. And another important thing is the killing due to science and technology development, particularly the roads development, the railways development, the infrastructures like maybe the cell phone towers, or like whatever it is happening. We need to create a documentation. Whether it is because of these things it is reduced, what is the scientific documentation that needs to be done? Because these are all indications, particularly the elephant death because of rails that has been reported in northeastern states. So all these things are happening. We have to create more systems, and we have to also create some kind of policy system. That is my recommendation to all those who are listeners. But anything happening, within the country, but anything we identify some of the policy measures, how to curtail elephant death that needs to be assessed seriously. And of course, Forest Department, Forest College and Research Institute, in association with the Forest Department, we are also in the process of developing a scientific system to identify the reasons and to resolve the reasons with the scientific approaches. That also we are doing it. And now the plastics, particularly those who are using the forest, the wilderness for recreation and aesthetic purposes, we should be very clear. We should not take plastic bags within the forested ecosystem. We should not disturb animals. We should not disturb the plants. So all these things have to be inculcated. That's the purpose of this Wildlife Week celebration. Over and above the forest fire, which occurs both naturally and intentionally, or maybe naturally, that needs to be reported immediately. It has to be curtailed. We should take a part. And above all, the growing concerns on climate change. there is a huge cry and happens climate change. Climate change, particularly the climate change, the rising temperature, it changes the livelihood of both flora and fauna. And the plants are even, there is a report says, due to climate change, due to increase in temperature, the plants which are migrating to the tune of more than 2 kilometers. If the plants are migrating to the tune of more than 2 kilometers, take about elephants, take about tigers, take the lions. So there are chances of the migration, increasing temperature, increasing water level, continuous droughts. Now for the last 5 years, we have witnessed series of droughts. Whether drought has any impact on the animals, all these things are the climate associated risks and uncertainties. Whether the risk and uncertainties posed by climate change is creating a problem to the wilderness, both in terms of flora and fauna, that needs to be assessed. Because these are all I have identified, I have searched through the literatures and discussion with the people who are involved in wildlife research. I have also discussed, and whatever the evidences available today, all these evidences indicated that these are all the major threats to these wild animals. So all these threats need to be resolved through participation, increased participation of all stakeholders. I don't say only Forest Department alone is a stakeholder. So all those who are watching, we should be a partner in this program, so that if we take a part on all these systems, definitely the wild animals and the wild flora, they can be protected. Once if they are protected, automatically the country's rich biodiversity can be protected. When the country's rich biodiversity is protected, definitely the country will be a sustainable country. Because why I'm saying this, you take imagine the country without a forest, without an animal, the forest without an animal, the forest without any creatures, there won't be any forest as well. So that is the reason we should be very, very clear in making all these systems, particularly to protect the natural resources. That is what I always say. Wildlife conservation is very, very significant. Wildlife in the sense, as I indicated earlier, it is not only animals alone, even floral. Both plants and animals need to be protected, because the entire food chain that occurs in the forested ecosystem is very, very unique. If there is a problem to one chain, for example, the existing classification says very clearly, you take herbivores. In the absence of herbivores, carnivores will be a problem. In the absence of carnivores, omnivores may be a problem. So all these things are dependent on each and every category. So without animals, the wildlife disposal mechanism may not happen. Some of the animals, some of the plant species may get extinguished. So out of 45,000 species, still there is an indication forecasted by botanists and taxonomists. Even Indian forest needs to be elaborately studied for more populations in terms of both flora and fauna. They need to be assessed taxonomically. There are many more species still not to be identified taxonomically. That means the country is still rich. All these richness need to be protected, for which the entire food chain has to be stabilized. Not only stabilization, the food chain needs to be protected. That is the reason you protect all systems. Protect soil, protect climate, protect water, protect animals, protect plants. If you protect the entire ecosystem, definitely it is going to be a sustainable ecosystem. That sustainable ecosystem definitely will make the country sustainable in terms of conservation of both flora and fauna. Once you take very classical example, you take all the varieties of pulses cereals. They are all invented only from forests. Whatever we are domesticating today, they are all wilder, once wilder. The wilder species have been domesticated. Today we have witnessed a wide range of species. That domestication is not happening in animal systems. We are still, because some of the westernized world, domestication is happening even for the wild animals. But for a tree crop, it is happening. So all these things are a part. So definitely country like India, where the population of human is very, very huge. The country with the 328 million hectares supported only 30 crores during independence. Today we are supporting more than 125. It is crossed almost 130 crores. That means the population is very, very huge. Area is very limited. Definitely there must be a pressure. So we have to identify a solution or a strategy to resolve the process. The country with a larger population, both in terms of human as well as animal, definitely needs to be rationalized. All these things are growing issues. Definitely these issues are continuing, and during this process, we have to create more awareness. All 130 crore population need to be created awareness, so that they should be taught how the animals play a role in sustaining the ecosystem, how the plants are playing a role in sustaining the ecosystem. They need to be taught. It has to be start from the school level up to collegiate level, even to the common man. That is the reason Government of India has taken a timely effort of celebrating Wildlife Week celebrations. And October first week, always it's a monsoonic season. Monsoonic season, springs are very, very important. Automatically the weather is very good. So during this period, we must be thankful to Forest Department for having arranged this particular week to conduct awareness. So that this awareness will go to each and every citizen of the country, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, so that everyone will take part, so that they will take a oath, we will conserve the wildlife. The wildlife of in terms of animals and plants, we should conserve. And wherever possible, we domesticate, we prohibit the stages of the total extinction from the earth's surface. That also can be taken apart. So all these things we have to take apart. So these part will be very, very clear. We have the people's role is very, very important, because Government of India's program of creating awareness is only not to create awareness. Each and every citizen should take care of whatever the provisions made as per the Indian Constitution. We should take a part to protect the wild animals. We should take a part to protect the forests. Once we protect forests in along with the wildlife, definitely the country is going to be a rich country. For which purposes the Wildlife Week celebration is going to be held for to this October 2nd up to, it is going to end up to 8th. During this period, whatever the possible way you are able to protect the forest, you can protect the forest. Wherever possible, grow a single tree. That growing single tree will attract flowering, will attract some birds. The birds will be attracted by some animals. So that some animals the total system will be stabilized. So the message to today is, we sustain all forms of life in the earth during this 2020. And for sustenance, planting a tree is a very important initiative. I request all the listeners who are joining us through this webinar, definitely you take the message of planting a tree. That planting a tree will create a very big ecosystem. That ecosystem will create a very big life for both animals and the plants. Definitely the country will be sustainable. Like the purpose of celebrating Wildlife Week celebration will easily be achievable. Whatever the problems I have indicated, that can be resolved. And for which purposes, conservation of wildlife is very, very important. And I must really thankful to the Director TNFA, the respected additional PCCF, for having permitted me to act as a guest to narrate this particular function of Wildlife Week celebration conducted on behalf of Tamil Nadu Forest Academy. On behalf of Forest College and Research Institute, Tamil Nadu Agricultural University, I take a privilege of inaugurating this particular Wildlife Week celebration from this onwards, so that next 1 week it can be a series of program, and that program can create an awareness in the among the stakeholders who are participating through this webinar, and those participants who are participating through this webinar take the message of conservation, so that this can be disseminated across stakeholders, so that whatever the Forest Department has visioned, whatever the Government of India has visioned, it will be fulfilled, so that the country will witness the sustainability in terms of all aspects, and conservation of wild animal is not the exception. Thank you very much, and thanks for the opportunity given.
Respected
Yeah, a very good evening to all of you. Respected Dean of Forest College and Research Institute, Dr. Manoharan, faculty of TNFA, the staff and faculty of TNFA, my dear friend Mr. Osai Kalidasan, and the trainees of TNFA, who are the main participants in this program today, the inauguration of the Wildlife Week celebration, and the Forest College students who are watching it through YouTube, and faculty and staff of Forest College and Research Institute. A very nice evening to all of you. First of all, let me thank our respected Dean of Forest College and Research Institute for sparing his valuable time to address our trainees over here and also his own college students. Dean sir, your lecture was very insightful. I am very sure that our trainees would have immensely benefited with the detailed coverage of the status of wildlife in the country today, in the world today, the problems, the threats, the possible solutions. All these things have been encapsulated so fast in a nutshell, and it will go a long way in providing a fillip to our trainees who are into hardcore conservation as a forest range officer trainees. And we are also very proud to associate with the Tamil Nadu TN, Tamil Nadu Agriculture University's Forest College and Research Institute. Being so my alma mater, I am very happy that this association between FCRI and TNFA has begun on a very good note, largely due to the personal steps taken by our respected Dean of Forest College, who is very affable and who is always very open to any good ideas. So I thank you personally, Dean sir, and also I thank you from the Tamil Nadu Forest Academy for being part of this Wildlife Week celebrations. It also marks a very important concept. What is that concept? This is for the purpose of my trainees, I would say. The concept is that the forests and wildlife cannot be protected or conserved by the managers, forest community managers alone. It has to take on board not only the people, the society that are living around the forest and wildlife, who have a major stake in its conservation, positively or negatively. We also have to take on board the scientists and researchers who are immensely contributing to the better understanding of science and application of science and technology in practical wildlife conservation. From that viewpoint, the presence of our respected dean and the joint program conducted, Wildlife Week program conducted by Forest College and TNFA has great relevance. I wish my dear range officer trainees would understand and appreciate that. Secondly, I would like to thank Mr. And appreciate Mr. Osai Kalidas. I am not very sure whether my range officer trainees understood what he meant to say. Because he was largely speaking about Tamil and conservation. It was more for students of Forest College. The question is that the culture of the country has always been directly connected with the conservation. So there is this conservation ethos. Who protected this wildlife? Who tolerated this wildlife? Who sacrificed the problems that are created by the wildlife? This is the community of this country, which is law-abiding, which is very ethical. So how does this ethics that is being practiced today in the society come? It has come because of the deep understanding that our forefathers had about the importance and value of the biodiversity and the natural ecosystem that have passed on to us. So what rightly has been passed on to us, whether we will be in a position to pass on our natural resources, wildlife resources in the same quantity and quality, in the same integrity to the next generation. So as it is rightly said that intergenerational equity is a very important concept in sustainable forest management. So culture has got such a big relevance because through culture, there are values that an individual will attach to forest and wildlife. Very beautifully, our Dean sir said, imagine a forest without a wildlife. So you may immediately be shocked. Imagine a forest without a Sariska, without a tiger, you will be shocked. So there is some kind of a value we attach to the presence of wildlife around us, subconsciously or consciously. So this subconscious value has to be converted into a scientific value that the members of our Indian society should understand. Once we understand the value of our resources, how precious they are, how important they are, how fragile they are, how wonderful they are, these are the values. Once we understand these values, we are in a better position to appreciate their presence around us, and we will be in a better position to understand what we need to do. So when we come to what we need to do, we need to very clearly list out the action points. That is what our Dean sir has clearly listed out the action points on different aspects. Coming back to Dr. Mr. Osai Kalidas, he has very beautifully elucidated some stories, some poems that have been written in Tamil. So one of the poem he narrated was very interesting, where two lovers were in a beach, and the girl love said that let us not stand below this tree for chit chatting. And the boy asked why, and the girl says, "This is my sister. The tree is my sister. The Calophyllum Inophyllum is that tree, where my mother gave the small seed for me to plant along the seashore, and I have planted on the sands, and it has grown into a big tree. the tree is a sister. So that is how the people of Tamil Nadu, especially people of Medupalayam, you will always find that they will address elephants in plural, not singular. So these values, the forest officers, the forest range officer should understand. That is what we call stakeholder tolerance level. How much there is also a very beautiful word called cultural carrying capacity. The physical carrying capacity or the biological carrying capacity is different. But how much sacrifice the society is willing to withstand in terms of facing the problems created or conflicts created by animals. So this sacrifice is converted into the cultural carrying capacity. Luckily, our cultural carrying capacity is very high, and that is because of great awareness action taken by NGOs like our OSI Kalidas. I wish we are all in a classroom today, in an auditorium today. I would have asked all of you to stand up and clap to the work done by Mr. Kalidas and his organization OSI. So we salute your presence over here. So to wind up or to wrap up from my side, I would call upon my range officer trainees and the scientific community of Forest College. We need to work together. On one hand is that we have to create a scientific awareness about the values of forest and wildlife to the common man. And we also, on the other hand, need to develop our scientific capabilities and technological interventions in ensuring that our forests and wildlife are better managed so that the processes of ecosystems, the functioning of the ecosystems, the components of the ecosystem, the structure of the ecosystem, this integrity of all these units that are part of a good ecosystem, they are protected. So thank you very much, Dr. Manoharan, for arranging this program. And thank you very much, our respected Dean Sir of the best forest college in the country, part of the best agriculture university in the world, that is the Tamil Nadu Agriculture University. And thank you, Mr. Kalidas. Thank you, faculty of TNFA. Thank you, faculty of FC and RI. And my dear range officer trainees who are patiently listening. It is always said that certain ideas, they open up many windows in our mind. So I'm very sure ideas cast by our Dr. K.T. Parthiban, the Dean, would open so much of knowledge windows inside you, and that will help you to be a better forester in conserving and protecting. If a single tree is protected better, a single species is protected better by your understanding that is caused by this 1 hour of sitting, that the purpose of this program would be rated as successful. Thank you one and all. Thank you very much again, Dean Sir. Over to Dr. Manoharan, please.
Sir, thanks a lot, sir. It was so nice of you that Sir has appreciated the panelist speakers, but also your lecture, your enlightenment on the various topics, especially the importance of ecosystem, the structure of ecosystem, the importance of conserving the ecosystem, what are the roles of the upcoming forest officers, and the subconscious or the consciousness with which our ancestors have preserved the forest in the past. All those things, sir. It was a wonderful day. In fact, I have to thank Director Sir for organizing this thing. In a very short spell, Sir told that this 60th, there is 66th Wildlife Week celebration, the TN for Tamil Nadu Forest Academy to be part of it. So, Sir was instrumental. Sir was the motivating factor for conducting this series of deliberations which we are going to have from today onwards. And on my behalf and on director's behalf, assistant director's behalf, academy's behalf, would like to thank Dean Sir, who has, as told, elaborately discussed about the interventions. The interventions happen because of the interactions. Why the more and more interactions today the humans have with the wildlife? So it was very elaborately told, and Kalidas sir, as director has told, also Dean has told, our past, it was always with the culture. As sir has director has told, our country is culture-based country. So we give a lot of importance to culture also. Sir, can I ask the participants, range officers to ask some doubts, sir?
Doctor, I think we promised that it will be between 6 to 7. So we can take very limited question, 1 or 2. And also we are holding our respected Dean sir, who's a very busy person. So I would request that very brief, if at all, is required. Actually. Yeah.
Yes.
It's more wildlife week function than a Q&A session actually.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So, dear friends, range of ladies, 1 or 2 of you can, or the duty officer can come out with 1 or 2 questions so that the dean on various forest activities. Our director sir is there, and about the culture, so Kalidas sir is there. We will just ask. Okay, this session is open for a few minutes for questions. Yes, sir. I think as sir has told, let us take this as a awareness program, and I think students, the other participants from the Forest College and the general public who are all participating in this program, definitely I can definitely say that they would have benefited from the elaborate, purposeful, beautiful speeches by Mr. Kalidas sir and Mr. Dean sir. So, with that, today's program is coming to an end. Thank you for sparing your valuable time, and I thank the panelists for sharing their valuable knowledge. Sir, Dean sir would like to say something, sir?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing information, sir. We really enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.